Happy New Year, listeners! Yay! 2021 is here, and real tennis is not. I don't think anyone will have hit many balls in England, certainly. America's going well, Australia's going well. England's locked down, yeah. Great stuff. But yeah, Benno's here
Hello, mate.
in his 38th year? Yeah, 38th year on the Earth.
No.
37th?
Yeah.
Oh, right,
Is that
okay.
right?
I don't
I
know.
don't know how it works. Yeah, I'm 36, so this must be my 37th year. Yeah.
All right, yeah, he's 37th year on the Earth. He's made it this far. Still the world number 4. Isn't that great? But yeah, episode number 41, nearly a year since we did our first podcast, and we're going from strength to strength. Woo. Benno, what have you been up
Hello,
to?
mate.
What have you been up to?
Well, quite a lot of stuff moved house.
Oh yeah, you have. Well, I knew this anyway, but the listeners might not have done.
I'm now recording live from TM Towers.
So basically, like the biggest house in Leamington, yeah, that's now in Ben's name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As you come over the horizon, just look for the big one.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
Be the one doing the gardening in the back. in the back.
The one with the Leamington pool in.
Yeah.
The Leamington Real Tennis pool.
I'll tell you what did make me laugh about Anyway, did you have a good Christmas and New Year and everything?
Yeah, didn't
Obviously,
do much, bro. But I did. I mean, it was all right. It was good to not be working every day. So that was
exactly. Good. What has made me laugh is the amount of memes and stuff flying around. Like, goodbye 2020, like blah blah blah. It's like 2021 has started worse than 2020.
I know, yeah, literally. It's like it's gonna be the wrong way around.
For the English, anyway. But I'm good. I'm currently sat in my lounge with a brand new type of coffee that I'm sampling today, which apparently has dark chocolate, treacle, and cinnamon undertones. So I haven't had a sip of it yet. I'll let you know. I'll be able to give you a live taste test.
Sounds like a McFlurry.
So that'll be fun. Well, yeah, exactly. I saw the chocolate and treacle and was like, that's a bit of me. So we'll see. But mate, big news. I sat down. So I sat down this morning, put my coffee cup down at 8:29.
Yeah. Got
a ball out. Text you, and I was like, it's exactly 8:30. Well, actually, I text you at 8:32, but I sat down ready to go at 8:30, and I was like, do you know what? They're doing the Melbourne Cup. That's how advanced the rest of the world is. I'm not going to turn this into a political conversation, but crikey, if England just balls this up from
No, we haven't. No, we haven't. No, Ben, no, I will not hear this. Australia has like 20 million people. It's a massive place. It's easier to distance. Britain has 3 times the amount.
It is. It is. But they are back to normal. They're playing tennis today, mate.
Yeah, but they've got a massive country to just hide people in.
Right. But if we all stuck to the rules, it would be a much quicker process, don't you think?
I mean, yeah, that's all theoretical. I'm sure not everyone in Australia stuck to the rules, but there's obviously less of them to break them.
But their sanctions were a lot tougher for breaking the rules as well.
I know. Good for them.
Anyway, I sat down and thought, I'll tune in. I'll be able to keep you updated with what's going on in the Melbourne Cup. But literally, the second semi-final finished about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, fair. Is it
a shame?
Oh, well,
and it should be mentioned. And it should be mentioned, as we should try and talk about something real tennis based. Big congratulations to John Woods Casey, who has just beaten Michael Williams 6-2, 6-2.
Oh my God!
I assume it's level. I didn't check. But
that's a killing.
If it is, that's a gregreat win.
That's a killing.
I assume it's level, and if it is, great win.
If it's off handicap, great win.
Yeah. And the other semi-final was Paul Rosedale against Chris Chapman, and I saw that the video that had been uploaded was 37 minutes, so I assume Rosie's tucked him up like love and one or something.
Or Chapman's got injured.
I mean, that... do you know what? Chappers will laugh about this, hopefully, but that's more likely. It's probably the most likely outcome.
Yeah, that's well more likely.
Oh, very good.
That is good to hear. Well,
I wonder how many people got on court at Bridport before, like in the 2 or 3 days that they had before we all got locked down.
Oh right, were they like tier 1 or something?
Well, when everything went to tier 4, they were still tier 3s.
That's classic.
That, I think, off the top of my head, was probably the only court that was still available to play on for a few days.
Oh, fair. Well, I'm sure some people played.
I think. I could be wrong.
Jeez, mental.
Could be wrong.
Oh well, I'm waiting on a COVID test, so hopefully I come back negative because obviously it's not safe to podcast if you're COVID positive, is it?
Mate, I don't want to be catching anything through the waves.
Through the waves, yeah, exactly, the ocean waves. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. Not much with new real tennis news, but the podcast is still strong. We'll be episode 50 soonish.
I'm actually very interested to know, like when we did the first one, date-wise. We never really checked.
Well, we went to Australia on like the 16th of January.
Yeah, it's going to be like 20th or 25th, I thought, isn't it?
Yeah, around there. But yeah, exactly. It'll be a year anniversary soonish. Should be good.
We should also mention that the latest episode with Johners has absolutely taken off. So
How many views have we got?
well done to everybody in Australia for promoting that for us. Yeah, so that's been really good. So hopefully everything else can kick on.
Yeah, literally,
We've got
honestly.
over twice as many views as the tuxedo episode before.
Mate, that's insane. Well, there we go. It's not bad getting 20 rather than 10.
I was just about to say it's not difficult to go from 2 to 7, is it?
Yeah. Oh, mate, I'm exponential. However, I'm sure we'll just it's one of those where we just never prepare these things, but we'll think about other content we've missed out in this catch-up bit. Cool, Craig's not got COVID. You seen that?
Hasn't.
No, he's just texted saying he's come back negative, so he's just ill.
Oh, right. I've now got the shame of being diagnosed.
Yeah, Craig Greenhouse from Oxford does not have COVID, so that is good for him. Yeah, exactly. These things
So
happen.
there's still no confirmed pro cases?
No, that's weird, isn't it? Like, pros are protected.
Well, which is amazing actually, because we've worked. I mean, I'm not gonna put us in the same.
Do you work?
Bracket.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put us in the same bracket as the NHS staff, obviously, but we are in the firing line when it comes to like the amount. The thing, if you so as a member, right?
Yeah.
You come to Leamington, and you only see me.
Yeah.
There's no one else in the building, and by the time the next people have turned or the next person turns up, you're gone. Whereas I see everybody that comes into the building.
Yeah.
So we're under a lot more risk than like the members. So it's good that there's been no confirmed cases yet.
Well, there we go. Good work, Craig. However,
still not allowed to work, but
yeah, no, not yet. I'll come and play. So obviously we never ever know what to do a topic anymore because there's just no like opens or anything.
but can you imagine? Can you imagine the day when we can like preview a tournament?
Mate, it's been so long. I just
Can you imagine?
Oh my god.
Mate, episode 42 is going to be reviewing the Melbourne Cup.
Jeez, I know. And that's the horse racing. But yeah, like it's just oh my god. I just want something new to talk about. I don't know how we keep churning these episodes out. However, we put a poll out on Instagram. Our loyal followers got some great responses. And so Peter Cipriano, who's a great listener to the podcast, him and his dad, he's come up with one. He said, "Dealing with setbacks, devastating and bad losses."
I have to say, by the way, sorry, Shankers, before you get into the gritty, the nitty gritty, and the serious stuff of it,
yeah,
it should be mentioned that Peter Cipriano is a big football manager player, which I've got a lot of respect for.
Yeah.
I doffed my hat to you, sir. But bragging about winning the Champions League with Man United is just not. I'm just not having that.
It's a weird one because obviously our Instagram DMs are always open, and we were just having a bit of a chat about Footy Manager. It was good. He's also a Blackburn fan, so it would have been a better achievement if he'd done it with Blackburn.
Exactly. What's Man United Champions League? I mean,
exactly.
All right, my dog could do that. Right. All right.
Yeah, with that budget.
What's that?
With United's budget, you can't exactly not win.
I'm just not having that as an achievement. Right.
However,
I want Blackburn. I want Blackburn in the Champions League within 5 years. There you go. That's a new task.
There we go. However, he did come up with a good question. So he said, dealing with setbacks, devastating and bad losses, also like a setback to do with injuries, bad form, technical issues, losing it mentally, feeling jaded. So he's like, how do you basically come back from setbacks? And he wanted specific examples of setbacks you've had in your career. And when he says you, it's the you plural form. So he's talking to both of us. So yeah, basically, it could be a good way of how people in real tennis. Obviously, it's a small game. There's not like loads of money motivating you to get out there. I obviously don't get paid. Why do I still keep getting out there when you have a setback? So, Benno, I want you
Yes.
to name me right now a setback. So this could be an injury. This could be when you were hating the game. This could be a bad loss. Give me one of them.
Um, well, I suppose the well, the one that springs. Well, take your pick, really. But the one that springs to mind is not qualifying for the 2018 World
2018.
Champs.
I thought you were going to say that.
Well, only because the system, and the fact is, I could have done better, and I could have done better in the race. That's absolutely fine, but the system absolutely screwed me at that point. I like it, and I sat down with Ben Rollison and talked about it. So put it this way, the system has been changed since then, so
Yeah.
they obviously recognise that it wasn't fair. But yeah, I guess that, and basically the reason I didn't qualify for the World Championships was because I lost to Matthew Salon in the French Open. Apparently, that's the result
Yeah.
that held me back. So, one, with all due respect to Matthew, like, I'm not going to call it a bad result, but one unexpected defeat in 2 years, and whack, you're out. Whilst at the same time, Bryn didn't play basically for 2 years.
Apart from the British Open and the ITP.
Yeah, exactly, and qualified because he made the final of the British Open. Because the system was such that if you didn't play, your expectations were low.
Yeah.
So if you did something well, then you just got a massive points boost.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember being in my uni house and being like, "Oh, mate, did you get in?" And you were like, "No," and I was like, "Oh no."
Well, to be honest, that was the second time in a row it happened, but that time was probably a bit more. That time was probably a bit more savage. But I mean, you can stand there and like criticise and say it's not fair, but ultimately I did say at the time, like, look, before I start engaging in these conversations about the system and how the point structure doesn't seem to be fair on the people that turn up all the time. Let me start by saying, like, hold my hands up. You've got 2 years to do better in one tournament or in every tournament.
Yeah.
So it's quite simple, isn't it? And in fact, I remember when Stout won the. So back in the day, in order to qualify for the World Championship, you would have to have won an Open. Like, if you didn't win an Open, so that's why the eliminators came into play, because Rob did the Grand Slam 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So no one could challenge him, and he was like, "Well, I want the payday."
Yeah.
So they changed the system and turned it into eliminators, which obviously is more inclusive for everybody. And the rule was at the time, before that, you had to win an Open. So when James Stout won the US Open, Gooding said to him, "Oh, you're in now, mate."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I ended up edging him out because I turned up literally week in, week
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Made like some quarters, the odd semi, and pipped him.
That 2012, yeah, because it's weird, isn't it? I thought Stout was gonna get in, but you like sneaks in or something like that.
But the difference is now, if you and he wasn't obviously competing like full time.
Yeah.
The difference is now, if you win one of the majors and then you rock up to like 4 other tournaments and make a quarter or a semi, like, you're in by miles.
Yeah.
The system now is good in the sense that it rewards those who turn up, and it's the same thing with ranking. Like, some of the people that are like bit part tournament players turn up and they're like, "Oh, this person's higher ranked than me." It's like, yeah, because they turn up, man.
Yeah. That'll be me.
Like, you've got to turn up.
You've got to turn up.
This was going to be your big season, wasn't it?
It still will be.
French, try and play in a few things and actually like get yourself a ranking. And the thing is, I know it sounds silly, but if you turn up and play in all of these events, and now you've only got to make last 16 to the quarterfinals to make points, if you turn up to everything for a year, you've got a very good chance of being seeded the year after, as long as you win a few matches.
I know, that's the thing. Like, I was like, if I go to the French, and then obviously play the British, and then play, and then if I can go to America, if I can get a good deal on a flight, that's like 3 tournaments which a lot of people won't have, and also got a chance of getting like an easy first round in the US or the French or something.
Mate, I'm pretty sure that as an amateur, if you expressed your desire to try and become top 10 and play a couple of abroad tournaments, I'm sure there are bodies of people out there that would sponsor you a flight.
Well, not even that. I mean, I could check my account and see who could sponsor me, but yeah, it was this. COVID was disappointing. I tell you what, right? COVID is a setback. Does it reassesses your priorities, doesn't it? Because you're on like a roll, aren't you? And
Yep.
let's say so. At uni, I was at uni for 4 years, and I was in Spain for the third year, so I didn't even play, but I was still keen. So that was like a year I basically lost of training properly.
Yeah.
But it basically made me more determined, I think, to play a lot in fourth year, in the final year, which was good actually, because you sort of, yeah, as soon as I got back in May, just remember thinking like, this is it now. We've got one more year, so I
Well, it's
think
one
it's
of those you don't know what you've got until
yeah.
it's gone, right?
So I think with COVID, right, I know a lot of people can't train as much. Might be prolonging careers, might be like the break a lot of people need to actually think, oh, you know what, I'll just stop this for a bit. Like, I was speaking to Jamie Giddens this week actually, and he was like, I've just not played at all, like just sacking this season off because obviously there's no consistency. And I was like, well, I still play for fun, but like I understand because if you stop playing something for a year, then maybe you get the hunger back. You're like, oh, I really enjoy this again. So it could be good for a lot of people. This
Yeah,
a
you're
break,
absolutely right.
an imposed
Well,
break.
it's been very good for me to take a mental break from it because I've been talking about not doing it for
Yeah, innit?
years.
Yeah, trust. This has been like, let's say if you'd been like, I'm taking a 2 year window off. It's like, oh, it's imposed. Brilliant. Actually, like
Perfect
some.
timing. So anyway, sorry, going back to your original point, yeah, the World Championship setback was probably a. Do you know what? It kind of made you think. Not that it's like the thing is with all these things, like you've got to distinguish like what you can blame and like where you are blameless, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
what I could blame about that was that the system didn't lend itself very kindly to people that turned up week in week out.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I could blame, absolutely, is myself. Like I had plenty of opportunities to do every tournament you play. There's an opportunity to do better.
That's a good attitude to be fair, because it'd be too easy to just blame the system. Whereas you can always think like, well, hang on.
You can't, can you? Because if
No.
someone turns around and goes, it's like I don't know. If Leon Smart comes up to me and just goes, oh, I've dropped out of the top 20 in the rankings, but somebody I can beat every week's ranked 15. I'm like,
I think I say that every week anyway, but yeah.
but I'm like, well, you don't turn up to the tournaments, so how can you? I'm not saying Leon has, by the way. I'm just randomly choosing a 5-6 handicap. How can you? Yes, you can have that argument, but the fact is, if you're unwilling to put yourself out there to try and get your ranking,
Yeah.
you don't get given anything.
No.
So I think what happened after that was like, because it was the second time in a row as well where I felt like I'd been a bit hard done by. You kind of just question like, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? Like I'm spending so much money a year on flights and like personal trainers and like
Nick
physio
Richardson.
and stuff to try and keep yourself in like good nick, because like these days, what Camden's done is he's made the game a lot more physical, so everybody's fit now, like, and very fit, not just like, oh yeah, I can just go for a run or whatever. People are properly fit. They're training like
Literally bicep curls.
specifically for real tennis, like you do, mate. Bicep curls, press ups, the lot.
Pull ups.
Incline press. But do you know what I mean? Like people are genuinely doing it. And I remember like a few years ago, I said to Rob, like, oh, can we do like a load of hitting this summer? Really want to improve some stuff. And he just goes, you need to get fitter. If you want to get better, you need to get fitter. And I was like, well, I do like personal training once a week. And he's like, right, if you double it and do it twice a week, we'll start hitting. So like try and force me to get fitter. Because he's like, there's no point being amazing for like 3 sets, but then waning in the 4th and 5th.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing like 3 sessions a week during the summer to
Wow.
like try and get a heads up on everybody else, and that you just kind of call it into question really and go, well, I'm spending all of this money, I'm going to every tournament, and I'm not getting in, and some of that is my fault, but like I genuinely believed that I was one of the 4 best over that 2-year period.
Yeah, yeah.
And I still didn't get in. So you were just like, where do you go from there?
Well,
so you come to a bit of a crossroads. Do you keep spending the money?
Yeah.
Because like you say, you don't get it back by winning,
No.
hundreds of thousands per tournament.
It'd be good if you did.
What's the motivation behind carrying on and stuff like that? And do you want to know what the answer is for me?
Go on.
I would love to win an Open. It'd be nice to retire from my playing career thinking like it was all worth it because I won an Open.
Mate, do you want to know some banter actually? I remember once you were coaching me on a deadness day and you gave me a lift from Middlesex to Lords because I think like the final meeting was at Lords and I went, oh Ben,
this is years. This is going to be
this
years
is like
ago as well.
2012, mate. This is years ago. And I said something like, oh Ben, do you think you'll ever win an Open? And you like said to me like really angry like, well yeah, because I wouldn't be playing if I didn't think I could win an Open. And I was like, okay mate.
Why would I put that amount of effort in to just plod along?
And I was like, who is this guy? But anyway.
Yes, I mean that's obviously like a massive motivation to try and win an Open. I'd love to win like an Open, don't care which one, and then without being rude, I'm not going to start ranking the Opens in order of importance. But obviously, as a Brit, I'd love to like the second task would be to try and win British Open.
Yeah.
And a big motivator, a massive motivator for me is like having got to number 4. Like obviously, I want to get better. I want to get higher.
Yeah.
But also, you look at the people below you, and I know it sounds like bad, but it's not like living in fear. But you look at some people, and you're like, God, I never want to lose to them.
It's a motivator.
Well, it's not a motivator to get out on court and play to try and keep people at bay, but it's a motivator to keep going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, got you.
I look at some people in the game and I'm like, God, if we, Rob's going to go soon and Steve's going to kind of start to tail off and Tim's, well, he's out of the top 10 now. Bryn's kind of not playing as much as he did. And I just thought, God, if I kind of stopped playing as well and I looked at the 4 people that are going to replace us in the top 10 necessarily, I'm like, no, that's not. I don't want that.
It's not on. However, that's good. You could say then that your World Championship setback probably produced a bit of a changing of priorities or like outlook. That's good. One thing I will say, we've also got, because there's loads that Pete mentioned in his message.
Well, what about you? What about a big setback for you?
I wouldn't say it was like a thing like that, like not getting in. I think it would be more like sort of landmark losses for me, where I thought like, oh my God, what's he doing? Like, just need to just change stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but to be honest, you've always had like a very open. You've got like a very open learning brain. Like you're always.
Well, yeah.
If you suffer a setback in a loss, you're always like, right, what do I need to change? Or like, how can I be?
Well, yeah. Well, definitely.
Like,
I think
you don't kind of think like, oh God.
I used to hear people at tournaments and stuff. They'd lose and they'd just be talking about excuses like, and I was like, well, that's never been me. But I remember losing in 2015 to Zach Edel in the under 21s. Was that 2016? It was in the final. It was like 4 and 5, I think. And basically, I went into the match thinking like, I'm going to win this. I'm going to win. And like, I just thought I would, and I was like up in both sets, and then didn't. He played really well.
What was the just for everybody's benefit here and for mine, because I don't know, what was like the handicap difference in the two of you? Like,
oh, not much, like 3 points maybe.
What, and you being better?
Yeah, 2 points.
So on paper, obviously the handicap system when it gets to that level is less accurate.
Yeah.
But on paper, you're the favourite for that.
So obviously I was like 19 at this point, and basically. I was thinking, I always thought like, oh, if your handicap's lower, are you expected to win? But having not played that many tournaments, it just showed me that when the handicap difference is that small, it doesn't take much for it to be such an even game or even flipping the other person's favour. And I just, playing like club tournaments when handicap difference basically just shows you who's going to win. And it was just like, hang on a minute, in a tournament match when the handicap difference is that small on an away court in a one-off game. just shows you that you've just got to do everything you can to win. Don't get complacent. And I think that match there showed me like you just got to be. You don't even want to rest. You want to be winning. Like don't even
Mate,
think, oh yeah, I'll win this.
the first, like the massive point that people need to take away from what you just said there is like how like we have a really, you know, we're very lucky in the sense that we have a handicap system.
Yeah.
But it's also the biggest burden in the game because all people do is just go, oh, oh yeah, you play real tennis, so you play at Petworth, yeah, what's your handicap? So one of the first questions, how good
It means
are you?
absolutely nothing, mate. It means nothing.
And
Especially.
you know that people start to just let go of it and just play.
Yeah.
Because like you say, if you're a 15 and you're playing a 19, or if you're a 45 and you're playing a 48, you're like, well, I'm going to win. And when you don't, you're like, oh, they're a bandit. It's like, Jesus, just get out there and play. Like you say, in that situation,
Yeah.
you now have learned that next time you go on court with Zach, you're just like, I'm playing Zach Edel. I'm not playing against a number.
Yeah.
I'm playing against the person.
Exactly. You're playing at that level. It's not like people are going to make loads of errors. Everyone can hit winners. If you're playing bad shots, they're going to hit winners past you, and it doesn't matter if they're off 12, they're off 10, they're off 3. Like if you're playing badly, they're good enough to put you away. And I don't think I realised that at that point. I always just thought, oh mate, you'll be good enough here over 2 sets. You'll just win. But it's like, hang on, if he starts hitting a few winners past you, what are you going to do? You're going to have to raise your game. And then, like, yeah, after that game, I just remember playing at Middlesex in the same tournament in the 24s after that. Basically going into it being ridiculously intense, like the entire Christmas holidays training, thinking like I'm going to win, like playing every match basically with ultimate desire. I didn't care who it was. Like I was like playing people in the group stage, trying to beat him like 8-0, just being like, no, I'm not letting that happen to me again. So that match there genuinely set the tone for me for any tournament because I was like, I don't care who you are, like it's real tennis, it's competitive, we're both nervous, there's both a bit of adrenaline. Just match practice, maybe better.
Do you know what I suffered a lot of when I was younger, and only as I got older,
You're still young.
through hours and hours and hours of sports psychology and age, where you just kind of go, I just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I spent so long like thinking, God, what's everybody thinking? Like, if I was playing somebody in a tournament who was, like you say, 5-6 points worse, and it's like 3-3 in the first set, I'm like, oh God, people think it's 3-3. I should be dusting this guy.
Mate, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. And what I've learned now is I just don't care. So like, if you're playing in the British Open, right, first round now, and you're playing Adam Player.
Yeah.
Yep, who's off what, 11, 12?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you beat Adam Player 6-5 in the fifth, do you care?
No.
You might kind of go, oh, I didn't play my best today,
Lost a few handicap,
or maybe he played really well or whatever.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I'm playing in the last 16 in 2 days' time, and that's all that matters.
I'd compare that, right, to let's say if you're on a night out and you do something really embarrassing and then people are ripping you for it, but you've got to think that in like 2 hours' time, no one's going to be asked because they just don't care. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
No, because like, well, it's not. But like, let's say in real tennis, if you have a bad game, if you have a bad 3 games, and you start just missing every ball, and like you can't even move, like, and that's happened to me. You think to yourself, oh my god, the crowd are gonna be thinking I'm terrible. They're probably not. They're probably just on their phone, just sat there. Like I remember playing Douglas in February, and I've gone 6-2, 6-love down. And part of me thought, like, oh my god, everyone who's watching, like, probably like 30, 20, 25 people watching, everyone's watching is going to think I'm terrible. And then I thought, mate, they just don't care. If you lose this next set 6-love, it's like, fair, I just played terribly, no one's asked. And after I just remembered that, I just thought, well, just play. Who cares?
Yeah, I remember when I managed to beat the GOAT in France in the French Open semis, and I happened to win 3-love, and I had people coming up to me like going like, oh god, that's a great win. And I was just like, yeah, thanks, really happy to be in the final. And everyone was like, yeah, no, but you've just beaten Rob 3-0. I'm like, I don't care if it was 6-5 in the fifth. Like,
yeah.
I'm into the final. That is literally all that matters. Like, the score is irrelevant. If I'd beaten Ivan Snell 6-5 in the fifth in the semi-final, and people come up to me going like, "Oh, that was a close one," I'd be like, "I'm still in the final."
What? Doesn't matter.
It's
like, yeah,
I'm playing the final. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
And I think people just need to just detach themselves from the emotion of like the quality of a win.
Yeah.
or whatever. Right, here's a good one for you.
Go on.
I remember like going back to the handicap thing. I may have mentioned this before. I was working at Hatfield and there was a club match going on. There was I was kind of making a cup of tea between matches or something, and I heard people, chatting a couple of people chatting in the club room. One of my members walks in, and these two people at the table are like talking about handicaps. Oh, this guy's a bit of a bandit, blah blah blah. And they turned around and said, "Oh, what's your handicap?" And he said, and I quote, apologies for bad language. He said, and I quote, "Why does it matter? We're all shit. It's just a measure of how shit we are." And I honestly laughed so much. And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "That is such a good attitude to have. Not that you're bad, but just basically the message there is like, who cares?"
Yeah, true. Yeah,
like, and I say it to people all the time, like at the club, who get so into it, so angry about it, and I'm just like, right, are you qualifying for the British Open this year? And they're like, no. And I'm like, right, so just chill out.
Mate, genuinely, you can compare. Yeah, you can compare that to other aspects of your life. So again, at uni, when you're young, there's a lot of like, it's obviously all like popularity and stuff, and it's just like, well, hang on. And let's say there might be certain ways which people might try and one up you, whatever. Like I say, oh, I did this. Like I'm such a boozer. It's like, hang on. Like none of us are playing like Premier League football. No one cares. We're nothing. Like it's just, yeah, real tennis. I think people think because it's a small game and it's all accessible and stuff. If you were playing like normal tennis and you won like some club tournament, people wouldn't start thinking you're mega because they generally
exactly.
they generally know that like, well, no, we're definitely not. Whereas obviously because you have access to like watching good players easily and stuff, people can get a bit ahead of themselves. But
anyway, we've kind of veered off topic a bit there.
no, we haven't because like it just a lot of what Pete said about like bad losses, mentality going maybe like feeling jaded with the game, like it puts a lot of stuff in.
We could do a whole podcast on me.
Well, you could, yeah.
On mentality and can't be asked.
Yeah, exactly. It sort of puts into it's how you respond, isn't it, and makes you think as you get.
I think one of the big ones, which is a topic, one of the big setbacks, which neither of us, fortunately, can like really go into too much detail on, is like injuries.
Injuries, yeah.
Imagine. I've seen chappers like rip his hamstring at the French Open.
John Dawes collapse.
Well, yeah, broke his arm. I've seen. Well, didn't actually see it. Thank God, because this sounds awful. But chappers like running into the wall at Boston and like knocking himself out.
Mate, yeah, exactly. Richard Lawrence. Sorry, Richard Lawrence.
I've seen that. Camden's had like surgery on his arm and shoulder and stuff, and has had to basically, not just not play for a year, but rebuild all of that muscle.
Mate, I was in Manchester when he was like injured. I remember that was like his last tournament, and he was in so much pain.
Like, I don't care how confident you are and who you are and stuff like that. If you've been off for a year and you've had to do rehab,
mate,
and you've started hitting again, the first time you walk out on court, you've got to be thinking, God, I could lose to somebody I shouldn't lose to. Because think about Alorna's, right? It's such a competitive market that if you're injured, as people like Murray are finding and Wawrinka found a couple of years ago, it's a process getting fit again, playing challenger matches and losing to people and like using it as practice to get yourself back to where you
like Murray playing that bastard.
You don't have that luxury. Like the first time Cam turns up to a tournament again, it's like, oh, Cam's first tournament back, the US Open. And
it was the US Open.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, wow.
I remember he put in his blog that he went like 3-1 down against Barney. And it's like, well, yeah, you can. Like, Barney's like ripping main walls past you. It's straight forces.
And the funny thing was, because of the small sport, it's like, if he'd lost that match, which would have been fair enough, like, coming back from injury and all that kind of stuff, people would have gone, God, how did with all due respect to Barney, but like, how have you lost that? So wait a minute, I haven't played a match in 14 months.
Yeah, exactly.
I've had surgery, like, and it's that whole kind of thing in sport where it's like, it's all about match practice and stuff like that. We don't really get that in real tennis, so it's you don't get that as much. It's like, right, but coming back from like a major injury, thank God I've never had to do it, but that must be tough.
Yeah, well, we'll never know. Hopefully, touch wood. We won't have to know soon.
It must be tough to motivate yourself to do it as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not like you've got obligations to 10 sponsors paying you 500 grand a year and
Mate.
all the prize money in the world to come back to. You're kind of thinking, right, I'm paying for my own flight over to France to stay in a bedsit to win €1,000. Is it worth it?
Genuinely, I don't know how I'd cope. I've had like 2 injuries. Like I had this thing after Australia where my calf was a bit tight and my ankle hurt. And that was like 2 weeks where I couldn't really walk that well. And then at this summer, I hurt my shoulder benching, and I couldn't hit a ball for a week, and I was so unhappy. So I don't know how I'd actually cope with a proper injury.
Yeah, I mean it's all about management and stuff like that, isn't it?
I'm not mature enough. But yeah, this topic is good. I think we can pretty much close this one here. Everyone's had
I think it's quite good in the topic where everybody's locked. Everyone's had a tough.
Mate.
Like mental health and stuff. It kind of leads on to that, really, doesn't it?
100%, yeah. Exactly. Everyone seems to be talking about it. Everyone's had like setbacks and stuff. I think you've just got to remember why you're in the game. To sum up, we all play for fun. Some of us play for money, but at the end of the day, you wouldn't be playing unless it was enjoyable. So that's probably one thing you should consider. And it's just a game at the end of the day, just a game. So we can always come back, and there's always a next match in there. There's always a next match.
Unless you retire, but yeah.
Unless you retire, yeah. Don't do that, Ben. Don't do that. Honestly.
Well, there's not always a next match, but I know. Yes, I understand what you're saying.
However, should we move on to the next section of the podcast, which is another American court? Where are we today, Michael Palin?
Well, we are jumping in the car and doing the hour drive from Tuxedo Park down into Manhattan.
Oh wow, it's into NYC.
Into NYC.
Love that. So New York.
Let's kick things off.
Yeah.
It must be the most expensive subs in the world.
I wouldn't know.
Well, it must be.
Well, yeah, that's true. It must be surely. Yeah, it can't be.
It's got to be. When you think of like ultimate prestige,
yeah,
you think of New York, don't you?
I mean, yeah, you do. So it probably is the most expensive.
What a location! What a city! I mean, the bit of real estate that they've got within the city is just absolutely perfect.
Mate, it's mental.
Right
what a building! What a building!
I mean, where do you even start?
Well, we'll start by walking into the building. So obviously there's a red carpet if you go in the front entrance, and then there's a back entrance as well.
That's a pros entrance, mate. Thanks.
Yeah, I remember when I went in.
Pros and maintenance.
I just dressed really smartly and was in like some suit when I walked in, which is good. And yeah, it's got.
So here's one for you.
Go on, talk to me.
Here's one for you. Where have we been so far? Boston.
Oi, Benno, tell your story about when you went into New York with your mate.
No, because I shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, so what? No one's asked. It's a good story. Basically, guys, so Ben told me this. Tell me.
The US Open was in Philly, and one of my mates was like, "Oh, I've got a couple of weeks. I've got like a week's holiday to take," and he's a pilot, and I was like, "Mate, why don't you just come to America for a week?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll do that." So I was like, "Well, I'm in Philly. It's 2 hours away from New York. Let's just go to New York." So we tried to go to New York after the US Open. So it's just going to basically be like do the US Open and then like spend a week in New York getting boozed up, watching football in like Irish bars and stuff, doing a bit of token sightseeing. And anyway, we couldn't do it the week after, so we had to do it the week before. So basically, I turned up at the US Open in Philly, having been on the source in New York for a week. It wasn't my finest tournament, and I was like, "Oh mate, I've got to show you the real tennis club. Like, it is just a picture of exclusivity." So we turned up because I was like, "Right, obviously you don't have a suit on you." I did because I was going down to Philadelphia afterwards. He's like, "No, I haven't got a suit." I was like, "Right, so we're gonna have to go in the side," and I was like, "Right." So we're in the like lift going up the back of the building. I haven't told anyone I'm going, and I was just like, "Right, mate, when we get out of this lift, we're going to be on the 3rd floor, which is the changing room. I'm going to like shimmy along and make sure like the coast is clear. And when I say now, you need to get down that corridor as quickly as you can, turn right past the telephone the telephone boxes and get naked as quick as you can. he was like, he like laughed and was like, "Oh, a good one." I was like, "Mate, I'm being deadly serious. Like, if you're not in a suit, then you've got to be naked or in whites, and you don't have any of it. You don't have a suit or whites.
You stick out like a sore thumb, basically. You'd be like the US guys storming the Capitol.
Exactly. So literally, we bolted down the corridor, turned right, just literally got our kit off, wrapped ourselves in a towel. I was like, "Mate, we can go wherever we want now." Like, because we just fit in. So we ended up having like a swim and a steam. Sat in the change rooms for a bit, showed them around.
Did you go say hello to like any of the pros?
No, because I didn't have anything on me, did I?
Oh
Didn't
yeah.
do it. So we literally just then like got changed, pegged it back down the corridor, nipped into the like service lift, straight back out again.
What did the guy at the back, like in the back door, just let you in?
We just go and sign in, don't you?
Did you say like, "Oh yeah, I'm here
We
to
said
see"?
like, I said like, I'm a court tennis pro from the UK. I'm just here to see Mike.
Mike wasn't there to see you.
Anyway, of all of the
That's a great story.
Of all of the US courts that you walk in the front door and you are wowed by,
Yeah.
New York, I think, is one of the least I'm wowed by when you walk in the front door. Because you're in quite a tight little corridor and stuff like that, aren't you? And it's not until you kind of get up.
Yeah, it's a massive building.
The whole place is absolutely like absurd.
Yeah.
But you walk in and it's quite understated, I think, in the front.
Yeah.
Like that first little corridor is quite understated. But anyway, let's plough through. It's got
Two courts.
everything. The second floor is like a bar and some pool rooms and like dinner rooms and stuff, and that's basically like the exclusive floor.
Yeah.
That's a no-go zone, members only. We had a function, we had a drinks party there once, and they literally had to get like special dispensation from like the house committee to let us down there for a couple of cocktails.
Yeah.
First floor, changing room, gym, swimming pool, steam, sauna, massage, a couple of squash courts. Anything else?
The swimming is naked. You can literally swim naked.
Yeah, yes you can.
Like you can do naked swim, which is great. I haven't done that, but yeah, I remember there's the decent showers actually, really good showers.
Very good show. Well, I mean, for anyone that's not been to New York, just to put it in some kind of context for you, the changing rooms are the same size as a real tennis court.
Mate, oh my god, yeah. How have we not mentioned that? The change rooms I think is the biggest room ever.
Yeah, and you've got your own little kind of like private, like wooden kind of walk-in locker to get changed and stuff. Like it's crazy.
Mate, that is the biggest. Those change rooms are next level. Next level. Yeah, I like the change rooms there. Really good place.
It's a very quiet place.
Oh, the change room, yeah, deadly quiet.
Well, no, I just mean like that. The whole of that third floor is very, very quiet. You kind of feel like if you have a conversation, you feel like you're being a bit rude. You know,
yeah.
It is quite a quiet. It is quite a quiet place. And then you move up onto the fourth floor where all the magic happens.
Yeah.
Two reelers courts, 2 rackets courts, big pro shop, a couple of squash courts up there as well. It's just great, isn't it? And one of the best things which befits New York as a venue is, you've got this massively high-end club with, the facilities are crazy and it's just the most high-end place you'll ever go. The one thing that could absolutely ruin it is having 2 really awful courts to play on. But the courts there are just lovely.
They're sick courts, aren't they?
Yeah, quick, true. Both play very similarly to each other, which sounds obvious, but I imagine it's quite difficult to make 2 courts, build 2 courts that actually play very similarly.
Yeah, they are like the same, aren't they?
Yeah. So when I first started going into the US Open, you'd play on both courts. So I remember like playing my first 2 rounds on. Oh, what do they call? I don't know what the New York courts are called. How we differentiate between the 2.
East and West, isn't it?
It is East and West. No, that's
Queens.
Queens. Anyway, the non-show court, should we say, the one with the smaller dead on.
Yeah.
I play like a couple of rounds on there, and then go and have to play a quarter final on the
big one.
Yeah, but There's really no.
There's no difference.
Yeah. It's just and the rackets courts are just off the back of the main dead-on area.
Yeah, the one rackets court. Yeah.
It's just a great.
The rackets gallery is actually unreal as well. Massive.
Only one rackets court.
Yeah, just one.
Is it?
Yeah, just one. It's a massive gallery, like big, high. Oh yeah, I think the rackets gallery is like an unbelievable thing. It's just huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, talk about the courts, Benno. So it's obviously quick. I've played on there, but just like messing around.
The penthouses are very, very grippy, very much like Lords.
I quite like
throwing in some high stuff. You can throw it in really deep, and it will just come out.
I quite
90 degrees.
I quite like the lines and numbers. I think the lines and numbers look really cool in New York.
Very understated, but just
yeah,
classy.
Yeah, they are. Like cool dead on as well. You got like an upstairs gallery bit, glass dead on. Big. I just
upstairs
pains.
Gallery bit. I was in between the two courts.
Yeah, you can watch them up top.
Yeah, as in above the main wall for one of the courts and above the service wall for the other one.
I mean,
I thought you were talking about like a second upstairs,
no.
Queens or the Oratory. I was like, no, that doesn't exist.
So New York hasn't hosted a US Open since, is it like 2013 or 2014?
It's been quite a long time.
I'm going to say 2013. 2014, yeah. And obviously hasn't hosted a World Championship since the 90s, but hosted loads of World Championships back in the day. Some famous ones as well, some really famous World Championships. So we've got Howard
v...
It
won't host the it won't host the US Open because the USCTA have permitted female entry, and obviously New York won't permit female entry, so that's why New York won't. It's taking itself out of the.
I think that's a bit of a shame. I think that's a shame. I think New York's a historic venue, and it should be at the forefront of US Opens and World Championships and whatever.
Well, I mean, everywhere has their traditions, and you can't criticise someone's traditions.
It's fair enough.
If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do, and that's up to them. But it is a big shame that New York doesn't host the US Open, because it is a fantastic venue and a great. City, and just it's a really good experience to be part of that event.
Yeah, it is mega. I think anyone who's a real tennis player, you've got to go to New York. I think that is the most historic venue for me. I think if I had to choose to be part of something, I'd be part of a World Championship there.
It's just the most impressive.
It's the most
impressive place to go.
Yeah, for sure.
It's great.
I think that almost any other court for a World Championship, right, would almost be below New York. I think any other court in the UK wouldn't quite be as historic. Like you could say Queens maybe, or like Lords, but still, I think New York, just because it's just the viewing capacity, where it is, the club,
even just in reputation. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Is a massive, one of the biggest, if not the biggest hitters in Rati. Top 3 easily.
Yeah, big time, mate. Big time.
Easily.
I think so, definitely. Yeah, it's mega, and I hope.
And a great bunch of guys that work there as well.
Oh, mate, the best ever, the best ever. The best
great
ever people. So we got Barney, AJ Kemp, who loves side spin.
Dodson.
Yeah, Josh Dodson. Yeah, he's there now. Stout.
Running the show.
Talented.
Countless squash pros.
You got Neil Smith, who might dabble.
Ex-world champion.
Mate, rackets, yeah. He was a 0 at tennis.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you're a world champion rackets player and you play some reelers, it's pretty difficult to not be good.
I asked him how good were you at reelers, mate? He's like, I was 0. I was like, how do you play? He was like, just run around. I was like, yeah, it's like every other rackets player.
Well, I've not seen any of the old rackets players that like a Nail or anything. I've not seen them play properly, but any rackets player that I've seen play reelers, they don't conform to the standard real tennis textbook of tactics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a left-hander as well. He'd have probably just played exactly like Stout.
They just come in and do whatever. But, I mean, think about it. I mean, we've had this conversation many times, but how slow is the game for them? So I'll just run around and keep getting it back.
Yeah, the timber's an issue. However, yes, right. So we always do this with US courts, don't we? What's your favourite part of New York?
Oh yeah, wow.
Trust. That's amazing. Great question.
Oh God, it's just got to be. I know it just sounds really really silly. But it's just got to be like the whole pack. Just the fact that you're in New York City.
Do not say that, Ben. Come on, what's your favourite part of the club?
Well, the third floor.
Yeah.
Massive change room, showers. Put it this way: it's a court, it's a club, and most of the American clubs are. But it's a club that you could turn up at 9 a.m, have a hit, and spend all day there.
Yeah.
And you don't even know you spent all day there.
Yeah, exactly.
And you wouldn't even need to leave the third floor. You could gym, steam, swim, get lunch delivered, play cards. I mean, the third floor is just what a place to be. That is.
For me, my favourite part about it is the changing room. For me, I think it's an unreal changing room. It's massive. It's a shame no one talks that much in there, but it's massive. It's huge.
It's got to be the size of the real tennis court, if not a bit.
Yeah, literally, it's like, oh my god, like that room is huge, and it's got all the names basically, like the club championship winners and stuff. Insane.
Yeah, very historic room. But there's a lot of history on those boards.
Mate, so much. Imagine having your name on gold paint. There we go. But so that's New York. What a place! I can't wait to go back. I really can't wait to go back. I want to do like the 0 to 9s, the US 0 to 9s. I think that'd be a cool tournament to do.
Be a great tournament.
I know. Be the first person ever to see the UK US double. There we go. However, I don't know where we are next. We'll find out next week, won't we?
Well, geographically, we'll be in Philly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, nice. There we go. What are you on for the rest of today?
Rest day today. My hamstring's giving me a bit of jip, so I'm going to do like a bit of a stretch. I've got a few like really boring house chores to do this morning, like just the usual like washing and dishwasher stuff. But going to do a bit of shopping for a couple of bits of furniture. Have a bit of a stretch, and today's very much a rest day for me. I'm going to try and do as little as possible. Take the dog out for a walk at some point, but it's currently
freezing,
thick fog, and about -3. So
yeah, mate, I think it's like -2 here.
It's so not much for me really. Just really kind of feet up day, chill out, not do much. How about you?
I'm off to work after this. I've been running the last few days, so I'm having a bit of a rest. But yeah, busy day at work, and then some weights this evening. Do a few curls. You know how it is. Pull-ups.
It's the same as every day.
Same as every day, yeah, literally. And might do some reading. We'll see.
Mate, when you found the winning formula, why change it, right?
Literally, yeah, it's a winner's diet. However, guys, look forward to the next episode.